Alright, what's up everyone? So we're doing something a little different. We're doing a Red Dead Redemption character morality tier maker list. And here I have the different rankings. So good is, I try to title it like in Red Dead, like terms or sayings. So first is Blessed Peacemakers, that's good. Vigilante Gunslinger, that's like mostly good. Government Boy, kind of good. Fool, kind of bad. Snake Oil Cylinder, mostly bad. And then Sleeps with Horses is evil. So you can see, so with this I'm only going to be ranking them on their actions in the first game. So we're not talking about Red Dead 2 here, or the character as a whole. We're just talking about what happened in the first game, and I'm just morally ranking them on that. And who knows, maybe if people like, I'll do like Red Dead Revolver, Red Dead 2 as well, or even like some, like GTA or like some of the other, games or whatever. But anyway, so we're kind of going from, what I would consider like very minor characters to like, very important characters. So a lot of the important characters are on the bottom. So yep, you're gonna have to wait through the whole video to find out what I say about them. All right, well, let's get started. So first we have Aldius Worthington, and he was the one. If you don't remember, I'll kind of jog your memory a little bit. I kind of remember for the most part because I played the game so many times. He's the one who's basically like, I think he's like running for some kind of office or something, and this guy right here, the guy next to him, basically gets John to blackmail him to basically drop out of the race, and he's taking some very interesting photos. And so yeah, so basically he has to drop out of the race for that. It's a very minor character. What would I rank him? So he's, as you can see, there's no like real neutral. I would say I'd probably put him in like a fool. He's not like the worst guy ever, but he just at the wrong place in the wrong time. And then this guy, you don't actually find out his name, I don't think, but he's the one who basically gets John to, I think you can either blackmail him or you can like keep the pictures for yourself or do something like that. And I don't know his name, but he's like a scummy kind of like person in politics, just like most people in politics are. And yeah, so what would I rank him? I'd probably put him in Snake Oil. I'd say he's worse than this guy. Just because this guy was just more like an idiot who thought with the wrong head, and then this guy is just like, a horrible blackmailer. And then, okay, so this here is Sam Odessa. So this is the California Stranger side mission where I think you find this in Tumbleweed, and he's just like walking around trying to find treasure. He basically like up and left his family, and he couldn't find it. He ended up dying out in the Tumbleweed wilderness. So I don't think he's that bad of a person. I wouldn't put him in good at all. I'd probably say like fool. I'd probably put him in fool as well. Alright, and then this guy, his name was Basilio, and he was in, basically, his story is almost kind of similar to Sam Odessa, where he kind of like up and left his family to go look for Aztec gold, and like his family had this map and he went to go look for the gold, and he couldn't find it. So, very similar story as Sam Odessa, and because I think they're kind of similar, I think I'll put him in full as well. Okay, this one, his name is Ju, I think. He was the one who, he was like the Chinese worker who in Mexico, and he's basically on the opiates. He's like trying to stop, but he can never really overcome it, or like he was over encumbered by it, so like he couldn't really stop, opioid addiction, which was a real thing back then, and it still is today. Even like there's a lot of people on painkillers and stuff, and they can't get off of it. So it's still a very big problem today. And do I think he's a horrible person? No, I think he kind of just got caught up in it, and I'd say he's kind of like a fool as well. Okay, this guy is like one of the opium peddlers in the he's the one who's in El Matadero, and yeah, he's just like an opium peddler. You don't really get to see too much of him, interaction with him. So I think I'll put him in Snake Oil Swindler. He's worse than this guy in my opinion, so I'll put him here. Okay, and we have our first one who might enter the good side, Eva. So she was like the one of Eva Imperial. So that's the one where it's in Casa Madrugada, and she's basically trying to stop being a prostitute, or no, initially her pimp Mario is beating her, and John basically buys her and lets her go free. And ideally she's supposed to go free, but then unfortunately you find out later on that she gets killed. Mario kills her. So what would I say for her? Yeah, well, she's not a blessed peacemaker in my opinion. I think I'll put her in Vigilante Gunslinger. I think she's mostly good. She just caught in the trap that a lot of women did back then, and she just couldn't get out of that lifestyle. So I don't think that she's like an absolute blessed peacemaker, but I don't think like I think she's more good than just like a kind of good, or a government boy or government person. I don't know, but I think she's more good than that, but not quite as good to be up here. So we'll put her in Vigilante Gunslinger. Okay, and then we have Charles, and if you remember, he was the one who was part of that mission in Mexico where he's trying to make this plane. He makes like a makeshift plane and tries to fly, and then John has to get these parts for him that are all over the map. This is the one that is like the annoying one, like with the beaver pelts. So just for that alone, you should be in Sleep with Horses. No, I'm kidding. But all joking aside, he kind of just like assembles all that parts, and then he jumps off and falls to his death. So he wasn't. I'm thinking either fool or government boy with him. I mean, like, it's not like he had any like bad intentions or something. He was just a dumbass. We'll put him in fool. There's gonna be a lot of fools on here, as you can already tell. Okay, and then we have Abner. Abner, I think Forsyth was his, or Forsyth was his name. He was the preacher that's outside of the saloon in Blackwater, and he's basically trying to, basically kind of like the start of the abolition thing. He's trying to get people to stop drinking. And then there's this other guy who like tries to, he wants John to kill him, and he wants John to do this other stuff. I didn't really include that other guy because he's in it for like 3 seconds. But him, I'm trying to think off the top. It's been a few months since I replayed it. I don't think there's anything really bad about him, but I don't think he was super good. I'll put him, he'll be our first government boy. He'll be our first government boy. Okay, and then this one is, I think his name is Nathan or Nathaniel. And he's the one where I think if you're doing the Alma Horlick mission, you're trying to find out what happened to her husband, Pete Turner. And he's basically kind of screwing around on his wife with different women. I would say, I think he's the snake oil swindler. Because I don't think he's like some of these guys who are just like, had a whole bunch of delusion or did something stupid. I think he's like a little worse than that, but not quite enough to be Sleeps with Horses level. Okay, then we have, this is Harold Thornton. Oh, that's funny, they're right next to each other. So these two are both a part of the same mission. I think it's called The Wronged Woman. It's in Blackwater. And Harold's wife is, or she basically has a sob story that they kicked her out of the family and that they really love each other and that you should get him to be responsible for her baby and stuff. And, it basically ends like with a duel. There's no way to save him. Like John ends up killing him no matter what you do. Let's see, with him, I think, let me see. He's almost Snake Oil or bad, but I think he's more a fool. I think he's more of a fool than like mostly bad. I think he's like more kind of bad than mostly bad. Okay, and then next up we have Clara, and she's like the woman in this storyline, The Wronged Woman. It's kind of funny because actually her and Ava look kind of similar. It's so weird. It's like almost like there's slight differences in their face, but it's like almost like the same model basically. At the end of this, at Harold's funeral, you find out that his wife said that Clara was laughing, and that John kind of knows at that point that he got hustled, basically. Because basically, if you kill Harold, I think he gives you like $200 or $300, or he doesn't give it to you. You dig it out of his pockets, like $200 or $300. So at that point, John realizes he got swindled. So I think that's a perfect position to put her in right here as a snake oil swindler. Okay, and then here we have Edgar Ross's wife. I forget her name. She really wasn't in it too long. I don't know. I can't say mostly good because we don't know that. I can't really say full. I think I'll put her in Government Boy. Yeah, I think that's a good fit for her. Oh boy, we have our hero, the unofficial hero of Armadillo, the big grocer in town, Herbert Moon. Now, the way he thinks is pretty bad, pretty evil, you could say. Bart, like his actions, like did he really do anything bad? I mean, maybe he charged 25 cents more for corn than he should have, but other than that, I don't really see any evil that he really did. Besides, I mean, obviously, like, his mindset is evil, but his actions, I wouldn't say, are evil. I think he's more just a fool. I think he's more like someone that just, like, spent too much time listening to the wrong people or, you know, by his parents or whatever, and that's basically the way he is. And, you know, maybe he charges extra. I mean, well, you could argue that, because I bet you he does do that. He probably charges separate prices, you know, for, you know, different groups of people. I guess that's probably his only kind of bad action, but I don't think he's bad to be placed with these people here, you know. So I think we'll put him there. Oh god, here we go. The man that this part was named after, he's gonna go right in there. I mean, need I say more? Like bestiality, seriously, it's like, ugh. I remember when I first saw that mission, like, it gave me such the heebie-jeebies. So yeah, buddy, you can go right in the section that was named after you. So you can go right there. Perfect. So then here we have Jenny, and she's the part of the mission where it's Jenny's faith. We're basically run into different times in Cholla Springs, and she's like, you know, John's like, you know, hey, I could take you to town. I could take you to help, and she's just like, no, the Lord will come save me. And it's almost like, I don't know if it's like a parable or a joke or something, where basically this guy, I think he gets like stranded or he gets like stuck or something, and then he dies and he goes up to heaven, and God's like, you know, or he asks God like, why didn't you save me? And then God said, well, I sent this person, I sent that person, I sent this and that, and you didn't use any of it. And it's almost kind of like the same thing that kind of happens here, where John comes across her, I think like 3 or 4 times, and offers to help her, and she gradually gets worse as the more you run into her. But she still doesn't, you know, she still doesn't take his offer on it, because she has this mindset that somehow spontaneously that help's going to arrive, even though help has arrived there. And who knows, maybe God sent John to help her, and, you know, she didn't even realize it. But I think she's not good, but she didn't really do anything bad. To me, she's kind of on the border between Government Boy and Fool, but she didn't really do anything bad. I think we'll put her like in the very last, like almost a fool, but not quite bad enough to be a fool. So we'll put her in Government Boy. And then we have Jimmy Saint. He basically comes from like Audius and is writing stories about the Old West, and he finds himself in various predicaments, you know, and despite John telling him how dangerous it is, he keeps pressing forward and just to try to get the next story, the next big scoop. And ultimately he dies. Is he really a bad person? No. He's kind of stupid. You know, stupidity, I guess, is a morality thing. I guess he's stupid, but I don't know. I can't put him on the same level as like Herbert Moon or like Harold. I think he's more kind of like her level here. Actually, you know what? I think I'm gonna move these. I'm gonna move him up as well, and move him up, because I don't think that they should kind of be like next to each other, next to Herbert Moon. You know, I might move him up as still. I mean, that's the fun thing about this, is like you look at it stacked next to each other, and it's like, does this person really deserve to be sitting next to that person? I think that's kind of fair. I like this a little bit more. Okay, so next we have Mario, who is the pimp to Ava, and he basically, after, you know, John buys her, and Mario says, okay, I'll leave her alone, whatever, she's yours. And he comes back and he kills her. And then you have like this final duel on the gravesite in Sepulcro. And he's a piece of shit. You know, I mean, any pimp, most pimps are pieces of shit anyway. But like the fact that like, even though John already paid for her, even though, you know, buying and selling a human being is kind of wrong, but John already kind of set her free, and he still goes back out of his way to kill her and to make her life miserable. So I think he's worse than... I think he's worse than him. I think he's worse than her. I think I'll put him here. I'll put him there. Okay. Next we have Alma Horlick. She's basically like, you find her outside of Cooch Chapel, and she's, you know, wandering around and looking for her husband, you know, for a wedding date, and he never showed up. I don't think she's bad. I think she's just more kind of like these people, well, more him and him, where they're kind of disillusioned by something that happens. Maybe she knew that her husband died and she just couldn't accept it, and she was just in denial for basically the rest of her life. But I don't think that would make her like a bad person. I don't really see any bad qualities she had in her. So I think I'll put her here. Oh god, this guy. Randall Forrester, aka the Cannibal. You run into the cannibals a lot in the... I think in both games, yeah, there's cannibals in Red Dead 2 as well. And basically, from the American Appetites mission, after you find out, basically he's the reason why all these people went missing. And you either have the option to let him eat his prey or you kill him. And, you know, I think he's in perfect company here with a guy who sleeps with horses and a guy who kills people, you know, for no reason. So I think he fits perfectly right here. And some people are like, why is the Sasquatch on here? Well, how can the Sasquatch be morally? Alright, so the Sasquatch is an Undead Nightmare. I think it's called Birth of a Conservation Movement, where initially you start killing all these Sasquatches in tall trees, and you finally talk to him, and you realize that they're just like a very peaceful one, and he realizes that he's the last of his kind. I don't think he does anything outright bad, but I don't think he'd be on the same level as here. Let's put him like at the end of here. Like, people are like, why is the Sasquatch ranked so high? This list is stupid. I just thought it'd be fun to include him on there. There's a lot of characters in Red Dead, man. Like, look, we're maybe halfway through, and we haven't even reached the main people yet. Okay, so now we have Mother Superior. She's in, well, both the original Red Dead game and in Undead Nightmare. In the original game, she, you know, basically is part of the I Know You Stranger side quest, where John just goes there and she asks to, you know, donate, or I think he asks John to donate or to help her, or to like rob her or something. She's in that, but she has more of a prominent role in Undead Nightmare, where she helps John with like the holy water and, you know, trying to help him figure out. I'm gonna put her. She is gonna be our first Blessed Peacemaker. I think that's a good spot for her. She did literally nothing wrong. And I was supposed to say a nun, she has almost a perfect record. You know, pretty much. I mean, obviously no one's perfect, but being a nun is as close as you can be. Maybe. Alright, and here we have Uriah Tullitz, who he's another opium peddler, but he's worse in the fact that he preys on the fact that these Chinese workers are away from their home and that they're in pain from being in, you know, from working on the railroad all day. And I think he's worse than this guy here. So I would put him... I'll put him here. Yeah, because he's a horrible opium peddler and got people hooked on stuff, you know. Basically, you know, not manipulating, capitalizing on them, like being away from home and stuff like that, and not being in their home. Then we have D.S. McKenna, and he's the filmmaker. Initially, I think in the first game, like, you're trying to get this guy Spatchcock to, you know, realize that he's not a cowboy in real life and to stop and give it up, because he's like an actor who tries to turn into a cowboy. And then in Undead Nightmare, he's trying to film like a horror movie. And it's so funny, like when he's talking about like the concept of horror movies, and John's like, Oh my god, who would want to watch that? Who has the stomach for that? And he ends up getting killed by the zombies. I'm trying to think if he did anything outwardly bad. Did he do anything outwardly bad? I mean, he's kind of stupid, but that's about it. But I don't think he, like, really screws John over in any way. Or screws anyone else over. I think we'll put him in Government Boy. Yeah. Government Boy is kind of like as close to neutral as you could be. Oh god, yeah, him. Alright, we have Billy West here. I forgot the, I think it was like Flowers for Lady or something like that. Where, this is like one of the most depressing side stories in all of Red Dead. So basically, you find out that his wife died and he's just keeping her body sitting there and he's giving her flowers. And he's pretty crazy. And, I mean, I would find that kind of wrong to... I mean, I can understand maybe he just, like, lost his mind. But, I mean, I think that's kind of wrong to, you know, basically have your wife there. And I think it's kind of wrong, but it's not like he's not as bad as, like, these people here. I guess I could probably put him on the same level as, like, a Harold Thornton or a Herbert Moon. I think he fits kind of there. Because he's definitely worse than these people, I think. Alright, now we're starting to get into, like, the main story people. We're kind of out of the minor characters. Well, there's a couple minor characters on here still, but we're kind of getting more into the meat and potatoes of it here. So first we have Captain Espinosa, and he doesn't like DeSanta because, you know, basically he kind of realizes that DeSanta had a trap. I would say he's slightly better than DeSanta and Allende, but not very much. I think we'll put him... I'd say he's worse than Herbert Moon, though, and Harold Thornton. I think we'll put him here. So he's like kind of like right on the border between these two. Yeah, I think that fits. So then we have Professor McDougal. He's basically like the professor you run into in Blackwater when you're hunting down Dutch, and his whole theory about natives and stuff. I should put him immediately right there because of that. Where would I put? He's kind of more of a fool, I think. Like, he just has like very stupid ideas, and obviously, you know, he's an addict. I mean, which, not to shame addicts or whatever, but yeah, I think more of like a fool is kind of better for him. He just has very stupid ideas, and he probably, you know, screwed a bunch of people over to even though, like, that's not, I mean, in the game he really didn't screw anyone over. But I think Fool's a fitting place. I don't think he should be up here next to these people, and I don't think he's bad enough to be here. So I think that's kind of a good spot for him. Alright, we have Nastas. I'm trying to think, did he do it? He didn't really do anything over... He's going to be in, like, the good section. But I'm not quite sure where to put him. I would say... Did he do anything bad, though? He really didn't do anything bad. He was just more like kind of like trying to defend his people and tried to be, you know, make peace, no pun intended, you know, between, you know, the young men of Dutch's gang, and try to get them to basically realize what they were doing was wrong. I think we'll go Blessed Peacemaker. I think so. I mean, that might change at the end. Like I said, I'll go over it one more time at the end. But I think he should be either here or here. One of these two. Oh god, Abraham Reyes. He had good intentions, as all things do. They all start with good intentions. But his actions just don't add up. Like, one minute he's saying he's for the people, he's for the poor. But yet, on the other hand, he's like turning away, like, oh, I want to get married to Luisa. She's a peasant girl. I can never, you know, my mom would roll in her grave. And then, you know, he's, you know, obviously using his position to sleep with every woman he can, which is really no better than Allende. Like, him and Allende are both similar there, that they're using their positions of power to get what they want, you know, like women and money and, you know, basically to fulfill all the seven deadly sins. And, you know, once he's president, nothing really changes. The corruption continues, the bad stuff continues. And this is like from the newspaper I read in the game. So, you know, it's considered actions within that game. I would say, I think he's a snake oil cylinder. Yeah. I'll restructure these two, like, kind of order. So, like, the first one will be, like, the most, and, like, the last one will be, like, the least, kind of, in that category. I'll fix that towards the end, but I think right now, Snake Oil Cylinder is probably the best for him. Okay, and then we have Archer Fordham, which... he's not bad. I mean, like, this could be, like, a perfect category for him. He really isn't a bad guy. He's just more... he's kind of more an accomplice to doing bad things, but he himself isn't really that bad. Like, he doesn't, like, try to chastise John, you know, when they're, you know, like, when they're hunting down Dutch. Like, Edgar Ross, like, will poke at him and, like, be like, oh, well, you know, you should have thought of that, or, oh, you know, he's, like, always, like, nagging him and being an ass. But Archer really wasn't. He was kind of more just like, come on, Mr. Marston, let's go. And one thing I noticed, I could be mistakenly wrong, but in the final scene when John and the government agents, Archer isn't there. So maybe, like, he just thought that, you know, hey, this is too much, man. Like, this guy already did what we wanted, and now we're going to go back and we're going to go to his ranch and try to kill him. So maybe, like, there he finally had enough and took a stand. I think, so some people might be surprised. I think I might put him in mostly good. I think I will. Because he really didn't do anything bad. And, like, his final action towards the end, by him not being there when they were, you know, trying to kill John, I think that, you know, he gets some moral credit for that, I think. Because he finally realized what was wrong, and he was like, no, I'm not doing this. I mean, I don't mean, maybe I'm putting too much into it. Maybe he was just sick. Maybe he had the flu and he didn't show up to work that day. I don't know, but back then they didn't have sick days, so they probably, even if he was sick, he probably still would have went to work. Alright, we have Jonah, one of the deputies of Armadillo. He's not bad. He's just more kind of dumb. He doesn't do anything morally bad in the game, I don't think. He's just kind of like a dummy. I think we'll put him in, like, Government Boy. I think that's a good spot for him. Maybe, like, there. Yeah, I think that's a good spot for him. Oh god, Irish. Irish is a drunken fool. He literally, every time that there's a confrontation or a conflict, he always runs away and deserts John. And he's never really any help. I mean, he kind of helps you get to Mexico, but that's about it. He doesn't help you, like, establish yourself in Mexico. He's just more like, oh, Chuparoos is that way, good luck. Because I don't think he's not evil. And he's not as bad as these people here. But he's kind of bad. Like, he almost assaulted those nuns and among other things. So I think Fool is a good spot for him. Alright, and then we have Marshall Johnson. He doesn't do anything bad really either. He actually is kind of like more, like, you know, except initially he's kind of like reluctant to have John help him. But him and John's relationship develops a little bit, and I think that I think we could put him here. He might actually... He's also, like, trying to keep peace in, like, a crazy town with horrible people, like the Walton Gang and stuff like that. And he does it mostly without any, like, corruption or trying to do anything dirty. I mean, I guess some people, you could say that he didn't really do much to help people at the Ridgewood Farm, you know, after they got attacked by Walton's gang, but I think he's a blessed peacemaker. I think he is. Oh god. Capitan Vicente de Santa. He's a piece of shit. He knows he's a piece of shit, and he doesn't care that he's a piece of shit. Like, literally, he does not try to justify himself morally in any way. He screws John over multiple times. He screws his own partner over Captain Espinosa, where would I put him? Because I don't think he's quite here. I think I'll put him here. I'll put him after Reyes, because I think he's worse than Reyes, but just barely. He's barely worse than Reyes. And then we have Eli. He's not really bad either. He's the same thing. He's just kind of like he's kind of like a bumbling oaf as a deputy. We'll put him next to Eli or Jonah here. I think they're both just kind of similar. Both kind of there. All right, then we have Drew McFarland. He's Bonnie's father. Does he really do anything bad? I mean, no. Considering all that's happened to the McFarlands, I think that Drew's held up his morality for the most part. That he's just protecting the last thing he has, which is his daughter, which is kind of why he explodes on John, because he initially thought John had something to do with her disappearance. So, but is he the blessed peacemaker? I think he's mostly good. We'll put him second. Or should we put him first? Maybe we'll put him first. I think he's slightly more good than her. We'll put him. Yeah, we'll put him there. Okay. Oh, Coronel Agustin Allende. This guy is daddy, basically. No, but he's just like a horrible dictator of the area, almost the exact same as Reyes, using his money and power. But he's more actually worse, because I think he's taking, from what it's not directly shown, but what it's hinted at in the game is that he's basically taking young girls from these towns and doing who knows what with them, and then they're never seen again. And he's a horrible dictator. He doesn't give a shit about the people in poverty. He doesn't shit about the people he's running. He doesn't even give a shit about his own soldiers. I think that he's evil. I think he's evil. Yeah, I think that's a good spot for him. I think he's evil. Then we have Seth. Seth is a case of a man being out in the sun for too long. He's a case of too many bad things happening to one person, and they just turn into the Western version of Gollum, basically. I would say it's kind of bad what he does. Obviously, being a grave robber, digging up people's loved ones and stealing their possessions is pretty bad. I think it's worse than Irish being a drunk idiot. I think it's worse than Herbert Moon's dumb ideals and McDougal's dumb ideals. But I think we'll put him like here. Yeah. Well, but he helps John too. You know what? Actually, we'll put him here. We'll put him there. I don't think he's right. He's right sitting next to these people. So I think like here is kind of a good spot. He's not good enough to be with these people or up here, but he's not quite bad enough to be down here. So I think that's a good spot for him. Luisa Fortuna. She's, basically she loves Abraham Reyes, and she very is dedicated to the cause, and which is, I think pretty brave, considering, she doesn't directly do any fighting from what I've seen in the game. She's just more kind of like, has Abraham's men at her command, basically. But, still considering that she left her home, her home got burned down, but, she left, like, her family to pursue this cause for better change for her country, and ultimately, it didn't end right, and even so bad that this idiot forgets her name. I think she's more good than these people. I think she's also Blessed Peacemaker, I think. Yeah. I think so. I'm actually going to save the strange man for last. So we have Nigel West Dickens, who obviously is a snake oil swindler just by, his occupation alone. he basically sells on the promises and hopes of, you know, different ailments by like, oh, this is a cure-all solution. And as we can see, and I forgot who, I think it was John or someone else said it, like about rescuing Westic, and she's like, you know, he's a snake oil salesman. It's like, you know, he's the kind of man that built this country. And it's kind of true even to this day. Like, there's all kinds of people scamming, like, oh, this is a cure-all for this, or oh, you want to lose weight, just take this magic thing and you can lose weight, or, and even influencers are doing that. So the art of snake oil swindling has not gone away. It doesn't make it right, though. So, but he still helps John. I think he's more like here. Even though he's a snake oil swindler, he should be here. I can't put him next to, especially like these three. I can't put him next to them. I don't, well, maybe I'll put him, no, I can't put him up here. I can't put him up here. I think he'll stay there. Edgar Ross, probably the most hated man in all of Red Dead, in my opinion. I hate him. And every time I play as Jack and I go after him, I always shoot him in the head as many times as I can, so he's nothing but a crater. He's a horrible lawman. He basically used John to do what he was assigned to do, but he was so inept and he couldn't do it, and he had to use John and basically stole his family and forced him into it in order to do the job that he couldn't do alone. And then after John does that job, he takes credit for it and kills John in the end, destroying his whole family. And so I think he's evil. Of course, he'll go down here. He's the main villain of the game, so he'll go down here. Javier Escuela, or Escuella. That's how they should pronounce it, but they always say Escuela, even though his name has two L's, but anyway. He's a bad person, but he really didn't have as much to do in this game as he does in Red Dead 2. But, I mean, I would say he's definitely, like, mostly bad. He's not quite evil, like these people. But I think he's kind of mostly bad. And then we have Bill Williamson, who is an idiot, but he's also evil. Where would we put him? He's not quite sleeps with horses. And I think he's too bad to be like a fool. I think we'll put him in Snake Oil Swindler. Yeah, I think that's a good fit for him. And then Dutch. Oh, this is hot. This is tough. Because even though he's like a villain and stuff, and it goes on more in the second game, I like Dutch. I like, you know, I mean, not that I like him. I don't like him like as a person, but I like the character of his. You know, that he's basically kind of the last of it. I mean, him and John are both kind of like that. Like, they're basically the last of a dying breed. He's still trying to live in the ways of the Old West and trying to stop civilization. But he also had the foresight to kind of see what direction things were going. Like, he knew that corruption would be a big problem with the, you know, with as the country or as the area became more modern. He knew that corruption would be a problem, and he had the ability, or he had the foresight to know what was going to happen to John, and he was right. But his ideas aren't bad. I mean, I hate to quote Edgar Ross and give him credit, but it's almost like that one scene where he's talking about, like, oh, well, there's a guy who admires the flower, but there's a guy who puts a gun to your head, and if you don't like the flower, he blows your head off. And that's kind of Dutch. Like, he's kind of like, he has his way of thinking itself isn't bad, but it's more like the implementation of what he does to try to coerce people to think like how he does. Like, basically, like, if you don't think like him, he's going to kill you, or he'll, you know, do something to you. Or if you're in a bad situation, like the members of Dutch's gang, he'll kind of like capitalize on your situation and like, hey, are you guys tired of, you know, the government keeping you down? And, you know, come off your reservation and join me and fight against them. And he probably led all kinds of, you know, of them to their deaths in order to pursue this idea that he had. I don't think he's as bad as DeSanta, as Escuela, or as Williamson or Reyes. I'm gonna actually put him. But the way he kills that girl, though. Yeah, I mean, despite, like, he has some good qualities about him, we'll put him here. We'll put him, like, first. So he's, like, right on the border of these two. But, like, despite, like, you know... And he's still, like... I mean, he's obviously still shooting at John and stuff, but he doesn't, like, directly kill John right away. You know, he could have. But, like, the way he killed that girl and his disregard for, you know, the men following him, I think he has to be placed here. Alright, we have Landon Ricketts. He's an aged gunslinger. He's basically kind of the vigilante of Chuparosa. He tries to keep law and order there since there's no sheriff there, since, you know, Allende's, you know, too busy sleeping with 100 women, and, you know, him too busy sleeping with the waiter to actually do anything about it. So, does he do anything bad? It could be argued. Now, this is kind of borderline, because this kind of takes its place within the game, but it kind of doesn't. That he may have, like, either ran away or basically, not ran away, but basically, like, he's, like, somehow he's at fault. This is what I've read from, you know, inferring from different things in the game, and even in both games, that he's basically that the Blackwater Massacre wouldn't be as bad if he didn't mess up in some kind of way, and basically that's kind of why he went to Mexico and he basically kind of, like, exiled himself. But it's not directly stated, so I can't use that. But I mean, he's despite him being, like, a famous gunslinger, he's not like going around being like, oh, look at me. I mean, he kind of does that a little bit, but he's still actually helping the common man in Chuparosa and in Common Woman. I think he's actually... I'm thinking either Vigilante Gunslinger. That's tough. I'll put him, for now, I'll put him right here. He's, like, almost there, but not quite there. Okay, so then we have Bonnie McFarland. She's, you know, Jerry McFarland's daughter. She basically has to take on a lot of responsibility at a fairly young age, even though in the game they act like she's so old. She's only like 27 or 28, and she basically has to run a whole ranch. You know, I mean, she has her dad helping her, but in some ranch hands, but she basically has to run this ranch without the help. You know, I mean, she has farmhands and stuff, but, you know, her other brother is in New York and doesn't want to help her, and the other brothers are dead. So basically, all this has fallen upon her, and she's still doing it. She didn't, like, go into town. She didn't say, "Oh, screw this, Dad. I'm doing what I want." She still stuck it out with her dad, and is even kind of putting what she wants aside in order to ensure the survival of you know, her family's ranch. Actually, I think I will put him in as a Blessed Peacemaker, and I think I'll put her just below that. More good than her dad, but just below Blessed Peacemaker. Yeah, I think that's a good fit. Oh god, we have Uncle. So, basically, while John was gone trying to save his family, Uncle did nothing with the farm. They lost all their cattle. The one job he had, he literally couldn't do. He kind of tries to help a little bit in the end, but it's not quite enough. It's like too little too late, in my opinion. And I have no idea why John puts up with him. I have no idea why John keeps him around. Other than maybe he's bored and Uncle's just kind of like a clown that you just pull out when you're bored. But I think he's not in line with these people. Is he as bad as Herbert Moon? I don't think so. I mean, like, I think he is. I think we'll put him in kind of bad. Because he literally had one job, maybe like up here. Maybe we'll put like Herbert Moon, or we'll put him last. Herbert Moon. Then we'll put maybe him there. Yeah, like I like that better. But yeah, like he really doesn't do much to help John, and by the time he does, it's like too little, too late. All right, we have Abigail Marston, who initially I did not like her. I didn't like how she was talking to John, but I guess she's just kind of very sarcastic, and that's just how her personality is. Did she do anything outwardly bad in the game? I mean, besides like her fit of jealousy, I wouldn't say that she did anything really bad. She, tries to help, as best she can, when she's released. I think I'll put her here. Yeah, I think she's kind of like the same level as Bonnie. Maybe obviously better than Sasquatch and him, and probably her. Yeah, maybe like here. Yeah, I think that's a good spot. And then we have Jack Marston, who I think has gotten more liked over the years. Initially, like I showed you in Red Web Redemption, a lot of people didn't like him, and myself included. But he doesn't do anything bad. I mean, not that he doesn't. I mean, well, he does kind of. He backtalks his father, which is understandable, I guess, for a teenager. And he also doesn't listen, to his parents. But he does, try to defend his home once the agents come. I would say he's probably here. He's probably a vigilante gunslinger. I would say better than Abigail. Yeah, I would say that's a good fit. All right, we have John Marston, the main character of the game, and this can kind of depend. Like you can play him bad, but even if you play him bad, he's not as bad as like these people here. I mean, at worst, if you play him bad, he might be like more like here. But I mean, obviously, as the game, title is, he's trying to redeem himself. He doesn't want to resort to violence most of the time. I mean, in his younger days he did, but this is like the second game we're talking about, or the first game we're talking about. He kind of more... He's like one of those good guys, but not like a pushover good guy. Like, he's a good guy, but you don't want to like fuck with him, like... He can be, he can resort to violence if needed. He can resort to bad things if needed. But he's more resorting to bad things to take care or to get rid of bad people. But he remembers those. But he's also very loyal. Like, he's loyal to Abigail, he's loyal to Bonnie, he's loyal to Landon Ricketts and to Louisa and to Marshall Johnson as well. He's loyal to people that are good to him. But if you screw with him, then he's going to kill you or he's going to, go against you. Just as assume most people would, right? Like, even in real life, like, if someone treats you good, you're going to treat them good for the most part. If someone treats you bad, you're going to treat them bad. But he also... I don't know, I just really like him as a character. I think... Could he be a blessed peacemaker? I will say... I think I'll put him here. And then I'll put him there. Yeah, maybe that. All right, and then very last but not least, we have the strange man from the I Know You side mission. And it's kind of ambiguous because there's some people say he's death, some people say he's the devil, some people say different things. With him, I'm more kind of on the side that he represents death, that he's not inherently evil, because if he was the devil, why would he tell John, why would he say, oh, well, this guy is about to make a mistake, can you stop him? Or because I think if he was the devil, he would more like kind of tempt John to do bad things. Whereas him being death, he's maybe trying to get John to get things right before before death comes for John. And yeah, I think he more represents death than the devil. But what is he? Can he even be put on here? And I think he can be. I think he's not any of these. He's not bad. I would put him. I think I'll put him here. He's better than Sasquatch, better than him. Maybe there. But ultimately, even though he takes John, which isn't good, but I mean, I don't. It's such an interesting thing because it's like death itself is a bad thing because you know, it's the end of something. It's someone no longer being around, but it's also the foundation that's needed in order for new things to arise, right? Like nothing, and I don't know, maybe I'm getting too deep, but it's like nothing is really born, or nothing is really born unless something dies, right? Like, millions of people die and are born like in every second. Just like one life is leaving, but another life is coming into it. And it's kind of like, how can that be a bad thing? And as quoted in The Lion King, it's just the circle of life. It's just a part of the things here. And part of the things the way they are. So it itself is not inherently evil, but I don't think I could put him up here with these people. Okay, so let's go over everything and make sure that I like where everything is. Out of these people, who is the most? I'll probably her, maybe him like last. Maybe put like, yeah, that could be the good order for there. The mostly good. I think I like that order. Government boy. Maybe like there. I would say put her above these. Maybe like her here. Okay, I think that's good for that row. And then kind of bad. Let's see. We'll put him there. Him there. We'll put... Let's see. I think that's good for that row. And then mostly bad. I guess him there. Even though Duchess be like, why would you put me next to a government guy? Out of these people, who's the worst? Ugh. I guess him. Then him. I think that's good for that row. And then evil. This guy's just a sick freak. I think we'll move him down. Ugh, it's hard to... Yeah. I think that's perfect. So like obviously like so this person is like on the edge of good, and this person's like the very goodest, if that's a word. But yeah, that's the the Red Dead Redemption character morality tier list. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I thought it was fun little idea, and let me know if you want me to do this either with Red Dead 2, Red Dead Revolver, or even any other like GTA, or it'd probably have to be a game I played. Like if it's not a game I don't know about, I probably wouldn't do it for that. But I just thought it was a different take on like a tier list, because there's people who like, oh, my favorite character is this, and I just thought it'd be a different twist on it that I've seen. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoy. I hope to see you next time, and thank you.